Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to GNR Central. And with the year wrapping up, I already did one video of the top 5 best Guns N' Roses moments of 2018. Now I want to turn things to the top 5 worst moments for Guns N' Roses for the year of 2018. And number 5 is something that happened pretty recently, and it was just plain embarrassing. But Axl Rose and Mickey Rourke were mistaken as a married couple who was celebrating their 50th anniversary by a TV news station who was duped by a fan who sent in their picture. So here's news footage of the incident.
Asked you shall receive.
92nd birthday, Linda James of Shoal Harbor. Congratulations to Sarah Miller. She is in Canada. She's celebrating 94 years. Congratulations to William and Melvie Balsam, Canada, 64 years. It's a 50th for Max and Geraldine Bailey of Cowhead. Best wishes to Margaret and Ernest.
Now, the person who sent this in hasn't really come forward yet, so I'm not sure who's behind it, but I thought it was pretty funny. And Nikki Sixx of Sixth Sense, he's got that podcast he used to do, I think it was like on a weekly basis or so, that one that Slash was like the last guest on. He even got in on the fun, basically saying that Axl looks like a Mama Fratelli, which I definitely see a resemblance between. So my fourth worst moment was the Appetite for Destruction Locked and Loaded box set. You know, when the rumors were first swirling of what the price of this box set was going to be, Mitch LaFon was reporting somewhere around $600 US. And a lot of people were like, wow, that's really expensive. I mean, that's kind of crazy. And then when they announced the SKUs, it was like $1,000. And, you know, you think for $1,000, you're going to get a lot of great stuff, but you just really don't. And in fact, there's a lot of tchotchkes in there too, like the Guns N' Roses rings. There's the rub-on tattoos, which nobody really wanted. And, you know, a lot of the demos and stuff were things that were circulating on YouTube for a really long time. The only difference is they enhanced the quality of it greatly. And it was also hugely disappointing that they didn't work with Mark Cantor to get some of his stuff or even include any video footage or bonus footage with interviews from the band members as well. The third most disappointing thing goes back to the Appetite box set. This one has more to do with the fact that nobody in the band, or they barely even promoted the thing. They didn't really do interviews to promote it. There was really not much on social media. There was nothing even said during the shows, which was another huge disappointment. Like, for something that's such a monumental album, they didn't even take the time out to even acknowledge it. And they played that weird Apollo show back in 2017, which, you know, had no connection to Appetite for Destruction. So this one was going to take the cake as number one, but I had to put it at number two because number one is a pretty huge disappointment. But let's start with number two. And this is one of the dumbest ideas Fernando has probably had. This is the GNR Air website, which I don't think anybody even asked for. I mean, apart from the overpriced merchandise they sell at the shows and on their website, was anybody really looking for a Guns N' Roses private plane merchandise store? I mean, what's really bizarre is they've had this up for months and months, and you can't even order any of the stuff yet. I mean, it's either there's a couple items that are sold out, like a GNR Air logo pin, and then there's also a GNR Air plane pin, which is sold out. But then everything else has been on pre-order for like the last 5 or 6 months. So I kind of wonder, maybe they're just testing the waters to see how many people are interested in this merch. And then they're deciding whether they're actually going to sell it or not. But I think this is by far one of the worst ideas that Guns N' Roses has ever had. And of course, the number one worst moment for Guns N' Roses, or just Guns N' Roses fans in general, was all the copyright bullshit that happened this year. So it all started with the 1993 Saskatoon show leaking online, which a lot of people were happy about. These are some screenshots from it because I do have the whole show. And there's places online you can go watch it. Apparently the guys who have been removing all this shit have been doing a pretty poor job of trying to police all of it. Because there's places where you can download all these bootlegs and get the show and stream it pretty easily. I was able to search it and find it on my first try. So yeah, what happened was the show got leaked. Everybody was super happy. It got leaked from some place in Japan, and then it made its way onto YouTube. And unfortunately, we lost Franz and Roses' channel because of all this stuff. And there's been really no explanation from the band in terms of what's happening. I find it very hard to believe that the band would not know what's going on. All these YouTube channels, which have been on YouTube for a number of years, Guns N' Roses was making money off these channels. So anytime you post copyrighted material, they get monetized by the record label. And any money you earn from those videos goes directly to the record label and the songwriters. So on Franz and Roses' channel, Guns N' Roses was probably making some good money because, I mean, his videos were getting a lot of views. The record label was getting a lot of money. So I don't really understand why the band would want those videos removed. It was also great publicity for the band. So same happened with Gibbos' channel. So anytime you'd upload any kind of bootlegs, they get pulled off of YouTube by a fake account, which basically claimed to work on behalf of the band, but we know that they weren't. At least that's what people think. I've been seeing more and more evidence that Guns N' Roses Team Brazil is somewhat behind some of the removals of content off of YouTube and other file sharing websites. And then what's funny is when I think it was the Europe leg of the tour they did this past summer, Fernando claimed he had no idea what was going on. You know, for a management team that polices the forums and looks at what everybody is writing, to not know what's going on, I find it really bad, or it just shows that he's a really bad project manager. So that's basically my 2 cents. I think it was hugely disappointing that we've lost so many great channels over the years. And it was understandable before the Appetite reissue that a lot of the bootlegs off YouTube were getting pulled because the record labels wanted to promote the Appetite reissue. But what happened was when they would get pulled, these channels that had these demos wouldn't be hit with copyright strikes. They would just basically have a copyright notice sent to them, and basically their video would be blocked. So the channel wouldn't get a strike. They just wouldn't be able to have the video featured on their channel anymore. So that's probably the biggest and worst moment for Guns N' Roses this year for me. I'm kind of seeing what 2019 has to offer. I don't think we're going to see a ton of activity from Guns N' Roses in 2019, although there seems to be more and more rumors that we'll see some sort of announcement in January. But like I've always said on this channel with Guns N' Roses, I'll see it. I'll believe it when I see it. So those are my top 5 worst moments of 2018. I'd like to know your guys's. Let me know in the comment section below. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you love GNR as much as I do. Take care.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!